Hey guys, welcome to Ringsiders. We are joined by a very special guest, Axel Tischer, formerly known as Alexander Wolf. How are you, man?
I'm doing great. How are you guys?
Wonderful, man. It's a pleasure. We appreciate your time. Thank you for coming on. And I know Callum said before we were recording, the two backgrounds you've got are incredible. You said there were two of your favorite bands.
Yeah, one right there is Stick to Your Guns. The other one is Straight from the Path. Two of my favorite bands from my favorite kind of music. And yeah, I just thought I secretly built myself a nice background, and I thought about one of my favorite bands. So try to plug them in, and just have some fun.
I love it. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, I'm getting a bit of a rock and roll metalhead. Are you a heavy metal guy or?
Not very specific heavy metal. It's like more hardcore and metalcore, something like that. So a
Yeah,
lot of screaming, shouting, and beat downs and mosh pits. So that's my gig.
That explains one thing, I guess. When you came to the ring with Sanity, one thing that I always found awesome was you used to like play the drums on your head, and like,
Yeah,
does that go back to the hardcore side of you?
yeah. That was the idea in it, because when you're not familiar with the scene and with like violent dancing and stuff, you think like, what the hell is going on? A lot of people thought I played possessed, like from like a demon or whatever. No, I just tried to find something which I like, which is me, which is
Mm.
authentic to me. And so yeah, I tried to do the mosh pit, the violent dance during the Sanity music. Once I actually, it's a funny story. I had like time to go actually into a mosh pit at a download festival in my full gear.
wow.
So we had shows there, and there was one show was coming up, and I was in the opener, and I just over the time you get tired, like over the day, because we had like I think three shows in that day, and then it was yeah the third show, so you kind of like you get a little bit tired and wasted and blah blah blah. Then I thought like, oh, let's have a coffee and let's see Every Time I Die, where for example Andy, he's the butcher from AEW.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So and everybody knows Andy, and I just met him the first time there, and I thought like, hey, let's give it a try, just to wake up, to warm up actually. And then I figured out, okay, let's take the boots off, let's leave the other outfit on, let's just straight into the mosh pit. And
Amazing.
everyone who knows Every Time I Die, they know that they're
yeah,
sick.
man.
So
Yeah.
They've just announced the UK tour next
oh,
February. So I get paid this week. So the first thing I'm doing is getting a ticket because I love Every Time I Die.
oh
Um,
yeah, yeah. I have to text Andy. Probably I will come to UK for that.
Yeah,
yeah,
If
man.
they're not coming to Germany, of course.
there will be. Yeah, I think it's February next year. But yeah, man, I'm a
Oh,
huge,
that's
huge
good.
fan.
And
Huge
Yeah,
hey,
fan.
last time I saw them on Vans Rap Tour, they do like always like a big tour through the states,
Yeah,
and they had like some dates in Florida. Came to Orlando, and he was nice enough to hit me up. It's like, hey, when you want to come by and blah blah blah. So we hang out that day and just had the chance like to see them. But in that day, I couldn't hit the pit because my pregnant wife was with me. So we kind of like couch on the stage a little bit, which I not prefer, to be honest, because the sound is not good. And also, when I saw what's going on there, it's like when you're hungry and you want to eat and you sit in front of a buffet, and but so
hey, what was it?
definitely have to do that again.
What was it like doing Download? Because you said you were there at Download. I'm guessing that's when NXT was there, right?
Yes,
Yeah. What was it like
yeah.
actually getting to wrestle at Download and be part of it?
It's super fun. It's like so because the UK scene is amazing, and like the wrestling fans are everywhere, and like in wrestling is always the connection to music and vice
yeah,
versa.
Mm.
So for example, like Andy is a wrestler, but he plays in one of the greatest like bands, been touring since the get-go. So I know a lot of guys, they know them even from college time. So even like the Two Flags, like Tom, he's one of the guitar players from Straight to the Path, and my buddy from Stick to Your Guns, George, he's the drummer. And both when they tour, they speak a lot about wrestling, and huge fans of wrestling. So and I got together, or I got in contact with George from Stick to Your Guns because his wife saw the documentary Breaking Ground, and I was uploading the ring truck, and they had like a Stick to Your Guns vest on. So and he was through Twitter, so we connected, and he told me also like there's tons of guys in the music business. They love WWE, they love wrestling in general, blah blah blah. So music, wrestling, and then you have Download. And the Download was they had like a tent for us next to the Avalanche stage every time. So every time Avalanche stage is on, it's always like hardcore metalcore.
Yeah.
So it's, you know, my backyard. So we had like 3 or 4 shows, or sometimes less. Depends which day and depends what the schedule is from Download. Because when, for example, you have the big main eventers, like the last, like my first time was Rammstein was playing there. You don't need to have a wrestling show of NXT, like, or in general, a show of wrestling when Rammstein is playing, when one of the headliners is playing. Megadeth, I don't know, like Slipknot was last year. Last time, not last year. The schedule is fun. It's nice to be there when you love the environment, but also when you're not used to the music and you're not used to be on a muddy field or just a simple like festival with a lot of like drunken and messed up guys. They want to just get drunk and just, you know, constantly just, you know, being shit-faced 24/7 ish. A lot of people don't like that. That's why they don't like the music. That's why they don't like the atmosphere. But a lot of guys from NXT and girls, they like the music. So just imagine you having Rhea Ripley there. So she was constantly going to the concerts. Me as well. Look up the schedule. Just see, okay, do I have to work there? No, there's a spot open, so I can watch those guys. And everything was for free. you get food. It was cool. Like even like when we had the chance for a break for like lunch or dinner, we went in the cafeteria, like the setup cafeteria tent, where like basically it's backstage for all the guys. So you could get free tattoos, you could like chill out. Sometimes you saw one of the guys and you could have to chat, you know, if you kind of like be nice and respectful. So it was a great atmosphere and it was a great experience.
I can imagine. Yeah, I mean, especially for yourself when you're interested in the music, but also it must be surreal to know that you've appeared on the same show that, say, Rammstein has been on. You know, there's not many wrestlers who can say they've performed on the same event as Rammstein.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Like, and speaking of my 2 favorite bands, that one year where I missed Download was when I got called up to SmackDown, and both of them played at the same day at Download. So lucky me.
Man. It's like my dream. I've not done Download yet. It's my one music festival that I'm very desperate to go to. And then when you throw NXT in now as well, it's like
the atmosphere from the shows is kind of odd because you're not used to perform in front of people. They are not there like in the first place. You know what I mean? So when you go to a wrestling show, people come to see wrestling, but there you are there to perform in front of a larger crowd. And like sometimes you have so many people there you cannot count. So usually you look around and you estimate kind of like, it's probably, I don't know, 200 people. And sometimes so much they kind of stand to the outside of the tent, especially when it rains. So, but it was funny though to have this experience where let's say 500 people there and 200 people are familiar with wrestling. 250 people just there because they love the music and see, hey, what's going on there. And maybe 50 people are really inside the wrestling scene and they know the guys and they know the characters and blah, blah, blah. So, and it's funny to work in front of them, and you do not have to work that serious, if that makes sense. Of course, you know, you still perform, you always give 100%, but sometimes you cannot do a strong style match in front of a party crowd because they will not dig it. They will kind of think, why are people beating each other up? But when you kind of put the entertainment a little bit more in front, you kind of like, you know, you mess around and you work with the people together. So, and they are involved, so they're now more entertained. And because it's such a party crowd and such like a festival living lifestyle right there, when you do more some funny stuff, for example, something where they kind of get told a really easy and really like fun story instead of like crazy psychology, which is more kind of like an NXT takeover material, you will get them instantly. And that's a lot of fun because they give you so much energy back. So it was cool.
Speaking about wrestling in the UK, me and Jamie were talking before the show started. In November of 2019, there was a NXT UK show in Hull, and that's where we're from. and it was actually yourself versus Ilya Dragunov. And we're still blown away by that, because we think that's one of the best matches we've seen live in person. And that match was incredible. It was the best match of that weekend that we saw.
Yeah.
And you know,
was it the first match, the wrestling match, or was it the no DQ one?
I think it was a no DQ.
No DQ, yeah, no DQ, and it was one of the most hardest hitting matches I've seen live. And I've seen a lot of what you call strong style wrestling, but you and Ilya really went to war in that match. What do you remember of that match? Because to us, it stands out. What did you think?
First of all, how do you like my lightsaber skills?
Your lightsaber skill, yes, with the kendo sticks.
Yeah. So, no. First of all, Ilya and I, we have a past. So when he started wrestling training, I kind of like mentored him. I just trained him around 2011 or 2012.
Yeah.
And with that being said, it's always amazing to kind of like work together with one of the guys you could help. You know, you could train, you could like pass on the knowledge I had in that time, and it's just every time when I got more knowledge, I just passed it down to all the other students, and he was one of them. He was probably what means probably he was the guy who really took it and, you know, was a sponge to everything. He just, you know, took everything, and most importantly, he didn't stop like learning. He was always constantly, you know, evolving, progressing, and always. It's important like to just to also like evolve by yourself. And I always have the still like to train people, and my thing is I want that the student becomes better than the teacher, because otherwise I would do a shit job if I would held him down that I always be better. No, he needs to be better, and in my opinion he's already like achieved that, so I'm very proud of that. With that match was like sugarcoat for me, because I know he's a tough guy, and I know I can take shit, and we like each other, and in wrestling is always like when you like each other you beat yourself more up. And the same thing like in ring style. So he's a little bit more flashy, I'm a little bit more grounded, like a little bit more ring comp. But we work together because we train together. I know his stuff. I know how to kind of like, you know, absorb, and how to kind of like work with him together. And we had a lot of fun with that. Like the first match we had, the normal wrestling match, we also went hard on that, but more with something has to do in the ring. And then we had to change the whole thing up with the no DQ, because now we had the chance to use some foreign object. And in that case, to not overload the whole match, but using all the time, you kind of try to build it up till the biggest spot, and then we kind of like went home with the match. So I'm really proud of those matches. Those are my favorite matches so far in WWE. What also NXT UK concerns, and my work with or in Imperium. So, and I like that, you know, I'm glad you guys like it, and I like that.
Awesome.
The response of that is super positive.
Yeah, I literally turned around to Callum because we were sat next to each other, and I actually said to him, I think that's the best live match I've ever seen. And I've been watching wrestling for 30 years, and that was the best live match I've ever seen.
It was just one of those matches where, like, without exposing things too much, sometimes you can tell that people are maybe holding back a bit. But with you and Ilya, you were actually just beating the shit out of each other. And you had us, you know, in the palm of your hands. And when the finish finally came, the crowd popped big for it, because we didn't know when it was coming. And when the finish finally came, we were ready for it. And it was just such a well-done match. And I remember seeing, I've been looking at the interviews you've done post-WWE, and you mentioned that you were studying a lot of the old school British wrestling, the greats of old British wrestling. How much of that did you actually research for NXT UK? Because we've had some great wrestlers here over the years, like going back to, you know, your Big Daddies and your Johnny Saints. Johnny Saint was very hands-on with NXT UK as well. So how much did you actually pick up in that time when it came to the old school style of British wrestling?
A lot. So after the time we couldn't travel because Corona hit, we always had like Zoom, like kind of like sessions where, so Robbie Brookside, for example, it depends which coach you're associated with that group. So you had like Robbie Brookside, you had Johnny Moss, you had James Mason. All the time, Ryan Regal showed up like on the Skull session and just gave an input like about like what we're seeing and tells like stories about the performers or like the athletes you see in the ring, because they all know the guys there, they work with the guys. And then at the Performance Center, a lot of like Johnny Saint was there and passed on his knowledge as well. And then you always had some other guys there. Sometimes they brought in like some friends from the back of the day, and they kind of like took a session over. And but anyway, we watched a lot of matches. They sent us some suggestions or some matches, and they say watch it, make some notes, and then we all gather together on a Zoom call and we talk about it. Or we could tell like, okay, when I watched the match, I had the feeling that this and that, and what was that all about? And we had a chance to see something and maybe just take it and recycle it and just use it for ourselves. So, and there's a lot of like very influential stuff there, especially like round matches, because the plan was when we came back from the Corona break that we start the Heritage Cup and want to get like round system stuff in, because that's what UK wrestling was all about. At the Performance Center, we specifically trained with all the guys on like keeping the British wrestling style alive, and just, you know, because like guys like James Mason, they're amazing British wrestlers. They're amazing in round system, and they have all the knowledge we need to know, so you could pass it on. Same with Johnny Moss, you know. So, and a lot of times we had like something like training sessions where we trained the techniques, where we trained the round system style to get used to, okay, it's just 3-minute rounds and what happens when a pinfall. So just get used to the rules, right? But I think in general, like the European wrestling style is very unique. And when you compare it to the American wrestling style, US American wrestling style, it's such a difference. Like it's harder, it's more legit, it's less entertainment, more competition. And in America, in US America, it's more like you have like the entertainment part of it. You know, you have more like the storylines. You have more like the bad guy against the good guy. And then British wrestling sometimes was like, hey, fair handshake, and then, you know, we keep on going, and just in the end, it's like, oh, I lost, but hey, fair play, good game, whatever. So it's more like a legit like stuff where like, even if it's like it's wrestling, right? So everybody knows it's scripted, but still like the performance in the ring is real. So you have to train for it, because, you know, when I say, hey, let's have a match, the first time you maybe dislocate your shoulder or something, or even worse. So you have to train for it. So you cannot say it's fake, but it's scripted. So and in the end, it's our job to make you believe it's real, and make you believe, like, even if you know I do not punch for real, like in the match with Ilya, you see we beat the shit out of each other. So you have no other chance to kind of like give you, you know, the benefit of the doubt. Like, is it fake? No, not really.
The wrestling scene in Germany is very similar to the wrestling scene in the UK in that sense. I feel like the German wrestling style and the UK wrestling style, like you said, they're both presented as a sport, and like they're legitimate. Right, it's legitimate wrestling. So when you went to NXT and you became part of Sanity, did you find it a challenge to transition to that more entertainment style of wrestling?
I got told to change my wrestling style. That was something where I really had to swallow down the pride of being like a proper wrestler, because I used to be very technical, and I want to be like fluent as water in a ring. Also, like for the sake of just working safe, you know, even like I will, you know, lay it in. I will, when I see a part where I can hit hard but hit safe, I will lay it in. But I don't want to trip over my feet and fall in the side of your leg because my footwork is off. So I try to always like be very fluent, not really like stubborn, and also like have like a clean technique. So I used to train a lot of like amateur wrestling and more like grappling, like more like towards BJJ, but kind of like get the whole elements to have like kind of like the movement down, and sometimes you have to switch legs to be a little bit more quicker around the other guys or something like that. But in Sanity, they told me like, hey, I think you should not wrestle that much. And a lot, sometimes, like once I got told a little bit more with more pressure in a way, like, hey, this is not how your character should wrestle, so you need to get this down, or we probably will replace you with somebody else. So it was a hard pill to swallow with that, because it was kind of like, oh, thanks for telling me now with the nice threat of replacing me, motherfuckers. You know? But in the end, it was kind of like, that's what it is, you know. So they cannot sugarcoat you a lot of times, especially not when they want to do something where they really had a plan. It was a long time in making, and then the train starts rolling, and then you cannot jump on and off. You have to dig it, otherwise you get thrown off. And you know, so again, it is what it is, but it was very hard. So they told me like, yeah, you need a little bit more, you know, be more rugged, like, you know, you psychopath and that, and you kind of like anarchist, so you don't put somebody in a hole. But even I think if I would be in a street fight, I would not try to be a technical puncher. I would try to pull you out, eye out, and just probably, you know, break your neck with a bulldog choke or something, or with a headlock. But anyway, it's kind of like, okay, that's my vision of it. But first, you kind of need to show, okay, I will do what you tell me, and then in the end, you kind of like evolve in the role, and you can, you know, notch up like a little bit the skills, and then in the end, you find back to yourself. But that probably was something what I had to deal with, and that what kind of like was hurting my how I'm gonna say it, not my confidence, because I'm always like confident, but it kind of like hindered me on kind of being myself. So when I came there, I did something in Germany, and I know like the little German market in that time, you know, maybe it was one of the top 5 in Germany, but that means nothing over there in the States. And like even like in Europe was kind of like whoever or whatever. So, and then when I came over there, I know like I need to show them I can be coachable. I need to apply to this system of like, it's still wrestling, but it's like a different kind of like, you work different kind of wrestling style in the house shows versus the TV shows. But all that together is kind of like the WWE system. And then you have to learn how to, for example, I never used to talk a lot in the ring, and I learned that from a lot of coaches there, and they give me a lot of like little hints, and you can do this and blah blah blah, and that helped me a lot to become a better performer, and then just get used to the Sanity character, and later on finding back to my true self, which I wear when I wrestled in Germany before.
Speaking of Sanity, sorry, Callum. Speaking of Sanity, I mean, when the group first formed, what was your initial thoughts? I mean, did you think this could be something big? Because I loved Sanity. I loved everything about Sanity, and I feel like they dropped the ball with Sanity. What was your thought?
Yes, sir. Same here. I loved Sanity. I liked the idea. The original idea was came from Triple H, and he wanted to have the 3 psycho guys from Smoking Aces. If you're familiar with the movie, there's like this group of like 3 mad brothers. They're always fighting each other, but more like they, you know, they go out and go in guns blazing, and if somebody gets shot, fuck him, you know. You probably, it's like the I don't know if there's some kind of like neo-Nazi punk stuff, whatever, but he liked the look of it, and he liked the idea of like guys just, you know, just give 0 fucks about, hey, I get punched in the face, you knock my teeth out, and make sure I gouge your eye out with that or something, you know, just be lunatics. So he wanted to have that, and he had like a vision, and we first it was Sawyer Fulton and myself, and then we they put us together with EY, so we had a chance to talk. And right at the television debut, Nikki Cross came across to us, and she told us like, hey, I'm with the group. And we for first thought, oh, she's messing with us, because she stood in front and said, hey, now I'm with the group. And we thought, yeah, come on, join us, and whatever. And she said, no, I'm serious. Or how she would say, I'm serious, you know, I'm with the group. So, and it was cool because it was unique, and also we all got along each other. And Nikki was touring with me and Sawyer before to the house shows, so from the first day she was one of my dearest friends there, and it was so fun. And also, again, it was unique. I had a chance to get exposure with that, because I wasn't well known, and just did some house shows for NXT. Same with Sawyer, he was a little bit more like on the tellies with his tag team with Angelo Dawkins back in the day together. but he didn't have exposure as well. So and then we had EY, who had a huge exposure to his career in TNA, and like with Nikki, of course, was the unique, like, is that a girl? Oh my God. And she was like very nasty and, a little Kremlin style, like persona. And we had something what was very unique, and we had something where we always got kind of like cradled what the creative came through, because they always had something cool with us, if just a promo or a vignette or whatever. And we kind of had more liberties of doing stuff like cutting promos in front of a burning trash can and just, be more nuts. We wish we would have more time in NXT because we got called up too early, in my opinion. And also we wished we could have done a little bit more with the character, because just, when you watch Riot, you see so many things you kind of like could recreate.
Yeah.
In the end, what WWE used for Retribution, but they dropped the ball with that as well. So
yeah, exactly.
And I had a weird deja vu with that, a weird flashback, because a lot of that stuff we had pitched as well, not only at NXT, also on SmackDown. But we knew kind of like in NXT, okay, there is something we could do. Then we got called up before we kind of, I would say we should have stayed there 1 or 2 years longer, just to elevate the whole brand a little bit more. Just, you had the establishment with Killian as a singer. So I totally would love to get more like established in the group as well, because I was ping-ponging between, you got the big guy you cannot beat, and you have the leader. So, I was always like the weakest link at that point. But it was okay. It's the role. And then in the end, you cannot complain to the actor at the movie set, hey, I don't want to be the buffoon. I want to be the main actor. That's not how it is. You have a job and you have to do it 110% with all your abilities. So, and then with the call-up, we got, they kind of promised us something they have a lot of ideas, and Vince liked you guys and can't wait to start. And we thought they're cool, and we had a lot of ideas as well. And we just, and then we got like, postponed for the debut. Just, we planned to debut here on this pay-per-view. Oh, no, let's do it the week after SmackDown. Oh, we don't have time for that. Let's do it next week, blah, blah, blah. So we signed actually in July, but we debuted way later.
I think you went to SmackDown, but didn't Nikki go to Raw as well? So they kind of
that was also a big thing. We got told, we get called up, but also we got told, but just you three without Nikki, and that was a huge bummer, because you take an important part away from the group, and that was just making it unique with such a unique and awesome character like Nikki Cross was. I mean, fair play and good to her. She had the chance to stay longer and just just elevate her brand a lot in NXT, and then her call-up was way better, and she's still up there, and kicking ass. So, and with us was just the curse of time. I believe it was the curse of time, because I believe, and it's not written in stone or anything, but I believe it's always like on one point they have something, and then it does not fit a month later. A month later, you have totally different plans, and it's like, oh, by the way, we had this idea for Sanity. Probably not. Just, screw it. We do something else. And then something else is not coming. Again, my opinion. It's nothing official. Nobody has said this else. It's my opinion. But it's kind of like how it is, and that's the wrestling business. Sometimes you can be up here and you have a big bright future, and then 3 weeks later, you back in catering. So, and we had this deal where, so you had, we did something with the Usos, right? We attacked them right away. So we had their entrance. They had their entrance. We had an entrance. We attacked, destroyed, and then the week after we had a loop in California with so it was always Saturday, Sunday, Monday house shows, California, and then on Tuesday there was SmackDown Live.
Yeah.
And on one of the house show deals, so Shinsuke Nakamura got bitten by a police dog.
Okay.
Out of nowhere. And like the funny part was Shinsuke wasn't even like selling it. So he said, so we in the venue, and the police dog comes around and sniffs for explosive, right? And he was sitting in this arena gym, and the police dog came by and just bit in his leg, and he was probably no-selling it, like, oof. Stuff like this. So he got bitten and he couldn't perform.
Right, okay.
But but he was in a feud with Jeff Hardy, who was in that time US champion.
Yeah.
So they did creatively kind of like, we need Jeff Hardy on the telly, and what do we do? Okay, let's do six-man tag, because let's have EY wrestle Jeff, we at ringside, and then the Usos come down for paying us back the beatdown from the last week.
Mm-hmm.
Then how it is kind of, let's have a six-man tag. Okay, let's throw everybody in there, but we have the new crew who's not established, but who is kind of like hot. And then you have an established tag team plus the US champion, who is, by the way, freaking Jeff Hardy. So not only he's over as Rover, but also he's a champion. So you cannot let him lose. You could be creative and say, okay, let's throw it out there and let's have a DQ. But this probably would cause more storytelling. What is going on right now? So we got beaten clean in our debut match on SmackDown.
I remember that. Yeah.
A curse, which is not good. And everybody in the back, like from the workers, you lost today? It was your first match, right? Oh, you lost? Wow. Clean? What? So and we felt like, oof, yikes. Okay, we have trust in the system. All is good. We want to do this, and we're positive. Yeah, and then we kind of had a new start, a re-debut after that, because don't worry, they will forget that. But the internet never forgets, especially not wrestling fans.
Wrestling fans never forget.
Yep, and especially with Twitter, and especially with the history and everything. It doesn't matter, but yeah. And then we had a new start with New Day, and we just pumped as hell, because it could never be easier to play a bad guy against such amazing guys like New Day. Because they're over, they're loved by the fans, and they're funny to work, they're awesome to work, and they're willing to give us everything. When we talk with the guys about matches, they're willing to die for us.
Yeah.
So, and that was amazing, because we felt like, wow, okay, cool, you really want to do, but they really wanted to put us over like crazy. And then we had it went to the point where we had a build up to what was the
was it Extreme Rules?
Extreme Rules, the table match. We just the kickoff, the pre-show with 8 minutes in the ring, and we have 6 people for the table match. So basically, go instead of just try to build up a story, try to have a good match. But in the end, it was fun and good experience. And then I think the week after, the upcoming SmackDown, that we got beaten, and then we disappeared. We showed up sometimes here and there, and then they had something again that we beaten up Carl Anderson and Gallows and Usos, and then we kind of been in a feud where Cesaro and Sheamus just been champions, and then after we disappeared again. So, and we figured out we dead in the water with that. We got used, and nobody, you probably assume to know why, but nobody really talks with you. Everybody's kind of like, no, you're doing good, but obviously something is wrong, and you don't know if it's just not the flavor of the month by the big man, or you just shit or whatever. But that's the thing, you kind of have to figure it out by yourself, or you have to see, you have to throw something against the wall and see what sticks. But when you have nothing to throw, when you just have dark matches, and when you have not even that, you fly out for sitting catering and just fly back home. With that, it's the process, and it's not a complaining by my side. It's just telling how it is, and everybody signed a contract, and you kind of have to know, even if you're new in that, you kind of have to figure it out. It is how it is, and you cannot change it. The only thing you could change is when it comes up for, if you want to get renewed or something, to say no. That's the only power. You could suggest things, you could pitch things, you could do this to be a better wrestler, but on the other side is kind of like you don't get paid to be creative. You can be successful to be creative, but writers and all the other stuff, they get paid to write the stories. And you could even say a movie, Brad Pitt does not go to the movie scene and say, hey, I have an idea for my role. He's just doing it, or the producer, the guy who in charge tells you, hey, the role, and this is the scene, and so it's kind of working together, but not on that level. But in the end, it's kind of like you have to be creative yourself, because John Cena said a sentence which stuck in my head since he said it's like, yeah, you cannot say I want to be a champion, whatever, because it's not in your control. For you're in control, you have to control the controllable. So, and this is an important part, you know, sometimes you don't know what's going on with if the rider, and that's also a thing. A lot of riders don't have balls up there. They don't have the balls maybe to speak to Vince because he's a very intimidating person. This aura, you know, he's this big, not only he's the big boss, he's kind of like the guy who decides that you get fired or you get hired.
Yeah.
But the thing is, a lot of people, so for example, we had a writer and just, you know, God bless him. It's probably not his thing or whatever. I don't want to bury that guy, but I will bury him anyway with that. But I don't mean it in a bad way. So we have every talent talents get a writer associated with, and they can pitch something to them. Say, hey, I have this great idea about this. Sorry, blah blah blah. And we always had ideas about stuff. A lot of times we did our own social media vignettes with like a shitty like movie cutting app or something. But a lot of times we had like ideas and we pitched it, and we had something where we thought is good, but in the end they want to hear it and want to do something kind of that, want to make it their own.
Yes,
that's the thing, because you know it's a corporate company and they want to make money, and of course they want their label on it, you know. So it was their idea, but you know. So, and we had a writer, we pitched stuff, and he said, yeah, I know how to talk to Vince. I know how to communicate with him good. I will pitch him the idea. Great. And they always had a meeting in Stamford. And then after the meeting, kind of like text us, yeah, sorry guys, I couldn't pitch the idea this time. Was very busy. And he was like really there on like short notice and blah, blah, blah. I said, yeah, no problem. Second week, same. Third week, the same. Fourth week, the same. Fifth week, what the fuck? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Are you not able to maybe say, hey, I have an idea about something? And because he's not our own writer, he's one of the writers where we associated with him. So he probably has 5 different guys. So, and there's this thing where I think, and the what the fuck was at that point we have been frustrated with. We just been, it's not, nobody wants to hear us. Nobody wants to hear what we maybe want to pitch because, yeah, we have to do it. It's part of our job now, but you know, where's communication? Without communication, we don't know what the other guy thinks or has. And in that part was it that he probably never had probably the time, not want to say balls because I don't know for sure, but probably had not the time, or
like you said, Vince is intimidating, isn't he?
Yeah. But, and I can imagine, I always, when I hear something, I always have like a picture in my head. When you tell me a funny story, it's always like in my head running around like those little movies, you know?
Yeah.
So I figure out probably he's like, well, that's it. With the meeting, somebody else something to say? Because I need to go. And everyone's going,
no, all good.
Thanks, boss. You know, I don't know if you say, yeah, I have something. Do I have like 30 minutes to explain to you?
You just wouldn't, would you? I wouldn't do it.
But it's weird. But in the end, it's your job. But again, I don't know if that was the case. I'm just fantasizing in my own fucked up brain.
Yeah.
So in the end, it is what it is. But it was kind of, for me, it was a good experience because I knew, okay, nothing is for granted, and you really have to find something, a niche to go in there and just maybe present in something. And then even in the end was, I had one talk with Vince, man to man. And then I told him like, okay, we have this great idea about something where we can involve social media, because we know WWE is huge on social media because you make a lot of exposure with that. And he was like, well, it sounds all good. Do you have texted your writer already? And he asked me like, you have informed your writer with that, and he will, you know, pass it on to me. And I thought like, yeah, he tried for 5 weeks, I guess. But that's the part of the process, and especially when you're nobody. You know, you're new there, and a lot of times they say it's like your rookie year's 1 year in the main roster. I don't know if it counts if we have done something on NXT, but it's a whole different game because NXT is kind of, you know, 100 men strong backstage. Today I heard a figure about 75 men, but up there is times 3 or 4. There's so
Yeah, I
many
can
people up there,
imagine.
so many workers, and it's kind of like a clockwork, and everybody's kind of like working together. And
Yeah.
of course, if some gear of the clockwork doesn't work, you exchange it, you get it out because the clock has to run, because time is
Yeah.
money.
No, totally. I mean, but then obviously moving on, Imperium. I mean, how was that presented to you then, joining Imperium?
After Mania 35,
Mm.
the next Raw was in, I think in Montreal, and
Yeah.
that was the Superstar Shakeup, and we all just been here.
Mm-hmm.
We all just been like, not even WrestleMania, not even Andre
Yeah.
the Giant. So we kind of like being super pissed, and we
Yeah.
wanted to have an answer. And on that day, I kind of like, just sitting at home and thinking about who could I talk with, what could I say, and everything, because you don't want to burst out in rage, because in the end, you get fired and nothing happens besides, you effed yourself. But I remember I got some how can I say it? I would say points, but points on, we had like an app where we had like a calendar,
Yeah.
and when you had at the day a rod point,
Yeah.
you have an appearance, and we got different appearance. I got an NXT UK appearance for Glasgow, Scotland, and I thought, Glasgow, Scotland, okay. And then the next one was NXT UK. NXT UK, okay, that's interesting. I don't know, maybe something, because Sanity is the majority of that is like European.
Yes. Yeah.
And I was asking Big Damo, like Kieran Day, is like, you have the appearance as well? I said, no, what appearance? NXT UK in Glasgow? And he was like, you motherfucker. He's like, oh, you go to Glasgow? Because he lived his almost his life in Glasgow. He's from Northern Ireland, but
It's
he
pretty
lived in
close.
Glasgow. He performed as basically his second home, and he was like, oh, okay. And he got told he get to go back to NXT US, so we kind of like, oh, what the hell is going on? But then I figured, like, okay, Walter's now there, and Marcel and Fabian just been over there a couple times to wrestle. Oh, yes, has something to do with that. So on that day in Montreal, I talked with Triple H and said, hey, what's that all about? And he said, yeah, listen, I don't want that you guys, sit in catering and just, get down on that. I want to use you guys more, and if nothing for guys here, we have to split you off and to see where I can put you guys with something else. And he said, like, Evo will stay here, he will go to Raw, Killen will go to NXT in the States, and I want to have you with your ring kampf guys together in NXT UK, blah blah blah, the whole plan. The plan was that I joined those guys, and then eventually I will split off and will feud with them, blah blah blah. So and then we kind of like kept going. I debuted for NXT UK in Glasgow, and then rest is history. Just found together four guys of Imperium with the same belief that the match is sacred, with the message about that we want to protect the legacy of the professional wrestling, and it's everything authentic, because all four of us think that way for shoot. And then we had some here and there, and then the pandemic hits and kind of like stopped the whole process.
Was Triple H a fan of Ringkampf's previous work then? Is that something he'd watched previously?
Yeah, of course it was over.
Yeah.
That's why. It worked, especially like, and I think the most of that is credit to Walter, because I got signed before even the Ringkampf stuff was starting. It was kind of like an idea of because Marcel, his father, actually leader, was one of the famous wrestlers back in the day after World War II. He was 100% Ringkampf, and he passed all the knowledge on Marcel. And Marcel grew up in the business. He grew up on the days where they had the tournaments in Germany and was backstage, and guys like Finlay and Brookside, they knew him when he was like a kid.
Yeah.
And then he grew in this business. He started wrestling, and he is still to this day. He's also like his father, like so passionate about that you want to really, really protect the business from all the wannabes and everything. And Walter, Marcel, and I, we always been like a clique in the European or in the German wrestling scene, because we liked each other. We liked each other because we had the same passion. We we treated the wrestling business as real and like with 100%, not just having fun in the ring and just doing something else. We really like when it was go time, ring time, when it was, we really had like a passion about it, and afterwards we had fun. But first the work, then the fun. So in that time before I left, I think it was in January 2015, we kind of like spitballing about ideas, and we always used the name Ringkampf because we want to kind of like more Germanize the wrestling scene language. We always said to professional wrestling, professionelle Berufsringkämpfer, which means pro wrestler. But we kind of like make ourselves, we kind of like popped ourselves to always use like German references. Just translating it to German, it just sounds a little bit more like, a little bit more like more black and white than just fancy English speaking people.
Yeah.
So in that case, we kind of like used always a Ringkampf, and then we kind of had the idea like, let's do some merch with that. And in that time, we not being super keen on having merch. Like the other guys, yes, but we just always been, we just want to, we just want to wrestle for fun and for the passion and just get paid for it, which is cool. But we not really want to stand out there and just try to sell somebody a shirt or whatever. So then we had the idea like, hey, let's make a shirt with that. Why not? Let's try it out. Let's use Ringkampf. And then we had some other guys who helped us with the finances a little bit and with the design. We just came up together with design. I like to be creative and draw stuff. So we kind of like spitballing ideas and we came up to the logo. And then when I left, they built a stable, and then Thatcher joined them because he is the he's the poster boy for Ringkampf.
Of course.
He's no bullshit, no something. He's the way he looks, the way he wrestles, his
mentality is Ringkampf. Yeah.
And then they came up with like the whole act and everything, and they worked it out. And like in Germany, it went nuts. It went crazy. From in a good way and sometimes in a bad way, what I hear from the stories. And then Marcel came over to NXT, and then Walter was the only guy left with Timothy, but Timothy was sometimes on and off because he lived sometimes in Germany, then he went back to the States, California, and Walter was the guy who kind of like carried the flag of Ringkampf through the entire wrestling scene worldwide. He went to Japan. He went to like the Progress shows, the big one in Wembley. He just wrestled in the Ringkampf shorts there and over in Europe, in the States. So he was probably the guy because he's the more established guy with that, because he just rocked the entire indie scene worldwide. That he brought the big like Ringkampf representation. Hard word. To WWE, where Hanno saw, what's that? And then the history about that, that he knew, okay, you guys kind of belong together. He's maybe 100% aware of it. He's probably just heard something and thought, oh, that's a good idea because, stables are very neat. So he definitely knew about it, but I don't know.
I feel like they really got the idea of it, though, when Imperium became a thing. At first, I thought, how can WWE do Ringkampf? And if they do, it's not going to be right. I thought they'd mess it up in some way. But that's just me being a negative wrestling fan at times. I think they actually got Ringkampf really well done as Imperium. I feel like, the way it was presented and everything was brilliant.
Yeah. I think in that case is, again, they want to take it and want to make it their own.
Yeah.
I was asking like, Scheiße, you want to do Ringkampf? They say, yeah, but not the name, because, a lot of people, they don't get that Kampf means just struggle, and everybody thinks about von Adolf Hitler in the book Mein Kampf.
Mein Kampf, yeah.
So, and it's kind of like, it's weird, but I don't care about that, because when you're educated enough, you probably know it's not that. It has nothing to do with racism, because I would put a lot of money on the line to tell that we are against racism at all. So even if some people think, oh my God, there's an Austrian with two Germans and Italian, and a lot of dumb people out in that world, but that's not at all the case. It's right the opposite.
No.
So, but in that case, he's right, because a lot of people, especially wrestling trolls, and and WWE has so much hater, they kind of like would, give me more, it's like I'm waiting for the comments right now, so kind of that motion. But in the end, it was like a good idea with doing that because the whole production of WWE made it so much better.
Yeah.
Because that production wasn't possible in WXW in that time. Maybe they are now. But when you have the machine behind you, you can make everybody look good.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. A lot of times you have great wrestlers who are not presented as they could, but you have wrestlers, they were maybe okay, but not as good as the other guy, but they put the machine behind that guy and now he looks like a superstar. And that's all commercial. And that's what they did with Imperium. They invested time with that, and especially with NXT UK. It was still such a new brand, and you need to make like more well-known characters to establish the brand. So you had like the guys from the UK tournament. You had Pete Dunne and Tyler Bates and Trent Sevens, like Mustache Mountain. You had Gallows, whatever. But you still had a lot of like slack to cut to be more kind of like look at this.
Yeah,
and then they had all four of us who had like a good representation and like the skills and everything to present that in the right way. And the only thing what they put in that was like the production, and then we made it a whole.
Yeah. I've got to ask. I mean, I know Imperium broke up on NXT. Well, I would say broke up. You were ejected from Imperium. And I remember thinking at the time, obviously didn't know anything was going to happen after. I just remember thinking, that's so cool. If you end up teaming with Killian Dane and Drake Maverick, and it's you versus Imperium, there's a little reunion with you and Killian. I thought that's the way it was going. Can you tell us if there was actually any plan for that to happen, or was that always the case where you just kicked out and that was it?
Funny enough, and before I start the story, I'm lucky that it happened that way. And a lot of people are kind of like sour on that part because they say, they did this and then you got released. What a shit way to go. So it's better than just disappearing and no explanation. My three best friends, they could give me a farewell. I wrestle against Killian Dane, which is one of my best friends, because we had so much great time just touring together and everything, and just gluing together as friends in that Sanity time. Then also Fabian and Marcel, which are not only great wrestlers, and they definitely have a big future ahead of their career. They're also one of my best friends as well. So it couldn't be better for me. And good for them that they had the chance to, show off in that part. And I'm happy that it happened that way.
That's good.
You cannot be sour because in the end, I did not know. And even then, they probably wouldn't think about it. But I would have done it if they would tell me on the TV, listen, today's the last TV, you get, we don't renew you. I would have done the same way.
You'd have done it that way.
Yeah, because I think it's a thing of pride to deliver, and still like they still pay me, so I will still do it. But that's a different. Like, not everybody would do that, and probably a lot of people say, "Fuck you guys, I'm leaving." You know. So, but anyway,
But they looked after you. I mean, we have read, obviously, in an interview with them before that, WWE looked after you after that last night. A lot of people look to hate on WWE, but you've said yourself that they took care of you, paid for your flights. You was very well looked after.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's always easy to hate on something. It's always easy to blah blah blah. But a lot of people, they don't know shit. That's the thing. They just talk, and they don't know how good WWE is to their talent. You see the negative things about people getting released, people here, people there. A lot of things, what I know, which I will not tell here because that's an insight.
Yeah.
They are very, 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 very kind to a lot of things what happens to them, where they get buried and bashed in front of everybody from released or like let go talents, whatever the story is. And I don't know which side is true or not, but then I know a lot of facts, they kind of like staying in the back and just take the hits and do nothing. A lot of times they could release stuff which kind of like bury the other guy even more. So they're very professional. And why should they? In the end, they don't care because they're a billion-dollar company. They don't care about a single talent. And even if something like a higher up talent, they cannot care. They will not care. It's a big corporate company and they make still the same money. It doesn't matter what this one person bitch about or whatnot. Right. No. But like the way I feel like how they took care of me, and you have your persons you contact, they're always there for me. If not, they give me a text, hey, I will call you back ASAP, no matter what.
Yeah.
So I never had an issue with that. It was a very comfortable, good life.
Mm-hmm.
But going back to the plan, actually the plan before the pandemic hit was to bring Sanity back together.
Ah,
Oh, wow. Okay.
But then the pandemic hit, and then EY got released. And
yeah.
and what I known is that not even Triple H knew about EY. The only thing like was, and EY, he said it in an interview, he was one of the first guys to give him the call about, sorry man, I didn't know about that. And they probably, I don't know this, just assuming, they probably tried to rehire him, but as I can relate right now, there's no animosity, there's no hatred,
Yeah.
but it's a sour pill to swallow that they kind of like deny you, and you kind of like think, okay, guys, you don't want to have me, F you. You will not get me back.
Understandable. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
So it's because we're all humans, we all feel, you
Of
know.
course.
But that was the plan, to bring Sanity back, just to have like all three of
That
us
would've been
together,
so
and then
cool.
we would feud with the three guys of Imperium.
Yeah.
But then they have to
Oh,
figure
man.
out what can we do, blah blah blah
Yeah.
blah blah blah. And
Yeah.
I thought because of this, and even with EY being gone from the company, that they want to do something with Killian and me, and maybe with Drake together then, or maybe with somebody else. We form kind of like do a Sanity 2.0, where a lot of people would say, "Where's EY? Where's EY?" Because you know they have to complain. But in the end, it wasn't happened that way. In the end, they did like the budget cuts, and as I got told, I was on the list for that, so they will not fire me. But because my contract is up on June 15th, they will not renew me, and point.
Well,
I mean,
I've got to.
I still have my Sanity T-shirt. That would have been amazing. I could have got it out. It'd have been fantastic. But
I've got to ask. Sorry, Jamie. I've got to ask. So in Impact Wrestling right now, I'm not going to say anything or expect you to answer, but Eric Young is now part of Violent by Design, and to me, Violent by Design is a lot like Sanity in how it should have been displayed. It's just rough dudes who are looking to beat the shit out of people for no real reason. They're just dicks, you know? That's what Sanity should have been. And what I'm hoping is maybe somewhere down the line of the next year or so, we do get to see that real version of Sanity come alive where you and Eric Young get to do your thing again.
Probably not. Never say never, but I can tell you why it looked like Sanity should look like, because EY is in charge there.
Yeah.
EY has probably the full control of what they do. And this is a lot of things what you see by Violent by Design, what we had or what he had in mind for Sanity. And we just talking, but he was the guy who was very creative with everything, because with his more experience in the business and everything, right? He had a lot of ideas. He knew how to write stuff down in a creative way, blah, blah, blah. And he was very good in finding the words and the messages. So everything what you see there could have been a Sanity on SmackDown or even NXT.
Yeah.
And and again, I don't know it, but I know EY, and I know what he kind of like told us his ideas and how he talked and everything and blah. And now he has just find his own stuff. He find a place where he is, where he got more the opportunity to do something, where he got more the is worship the real word for that?
Yeah.
So his work gets more
praise,
credits, more like
absolutely,
stuff than in the other place, because it's a smaller company, but still like the creative part are like good friends with him because they know each other from Team Canada times, and like because EY is he's like an icon in TNA. He wrestled there since forever. And then he departed from the company and came to NXT and everything. Now he's back there. And he has a name there, and he is an important figure there, and he's very creative. He used to work a couple times for production WWE, so he's even familiar with that part.
Yeah.
And everything what you see, and I'm very happy for him, and I know he's happy to do that. And he's kind of like, he's the maestro of that. You see the canvas and he's painting on it without that anybody says, no, you cannot do this, or this is probably not good, because he's just doing it. That's it. But like I don't think that I will be a part of that group, because I think I find my shtick again with like the whole Imperium stuff, because I used to be a wrestler.
Yeah.
I get it. Wrestling is entertainment, And but I think like my art is not speaking on a microphone, it's not kind of like be nice in some kind of angles. I want to perform. I
Mhm.
want to mess people up in the way of like pro wrestling. I want to like have those long matches, those long exhausting matches when I come backstage. Just have to sit down and breathe, you know. So, and I want really those matches where I really can show off like that. I'm more than just like a sidekick, or just more like a goon to
Yeah.
somebody else. And that's a good thing, that when I will move back to Germany, and then you have a whole independent scene there who's kind of like is for me it's a fresh start. And
Yeah.
I wanna go around, because never had a chance really to work in the indies that much, because there was nothing there. Like 2016, you had in the UK coming up like all those crazy progress shows and ICW and all those great promotions who promoted their shows. They're really great, and a lot of people came there. This kind of independent wrestling boom. So I never had this. I just wrestled once in England, and I did a couple times in my beginning years. I went to France, but as non like specific wrestling crowd, it's like a wrestling crowd to still believe wrestling is real. So
Yeah.
that was a great experience, but never toured that much. I never had this experience. Like for example, Walter had the chance that
Yeah.
he went worldwide from show to show to show to show, and then also like had like the opportunity to build up his brand with that, with his own work. And that's what I want to do. I have now 6 years of WWE in my back, and that's a lot. And I have learned so much stuff that I know I can perform on a high level. And I want to kind of like create, like I want to reinvent myself without just being not me, without just losing myself in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I still know who I am. I still what I'm capable of, what I can do, and I still what I can bring to the table. And that being said, like if a promoter wants to book me, I know exactly that's what my value is.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, especially in Germany, they know that. And I'm in contact with a lot of people, and I definitely will show that 6 years of WWE have treated me well.
You seem confident. You seem motivated. You can tell that you're not fazed by this. You're ready for the next chapter of your career.
Oh yeah. When I spoke with my wife about that, and I wasn't sad. I was pissed because of like it hits your pride when they say, hey, we need to let you go from budget cuts. But I know that a lot of people, they're not even half as talented that I am. So, and that was what I said on the phone call, kind of like, I'm sorry to be like this, but it's something what I feel and what I really know is how it is. And a lot of people know this as well, not specifically with me, but they know a lot of people in there. They're not very talented. They have the it factor, and they are worth an investment. Not saying that they not worth to have his job, but you value when you compare to others, right? And especially with 6 years of experience, it was kind of like, okay, I get it. You maybe do not have something creative with me, but you had a story right there, so you could do this. And I get when you say, okay, what comes after? So I totally understand that they have to let me go for that. I'm not salty about that. I'm not sour about it. But for me, it's the thing, and my wife and I, we talked about it. So sometimes somebody has to force you into something where you would not say, oh, that's not necessary. But in the end, you realize it was probably the best decision what could happen to you.
Yeah.
And I have now the chance to, like I said, to reinvent myself without just being not me, and just, build myself up with keep on working, becoming always better, staying positive, and also kick some ass out there, because I don't think I need WWE to stay a professional wrestler.
No.
Of course,
No.
the money is always good, and it's a very comfortable life to sit at home and just do nothing and get paid a lot of money. But in the end, it's kind of like money is not everything.
No.
Money doesn't make you happy. I can feed my family even without WWE, because I know how to work. I know how to present myself, and I know that I will get the chance to prove myself in a different scenario or in a different promotion, independent circuit, whatever. I know that I will be good. And that's why I kind of I can't wait to start. I can't wait to go back to Germany and start again where I left, and just probably make the German scene to a better, and have the chance to this time come to the UK and wrestle here and there, So.
Well, believe me, mate, whenever you're back in Europe and whenever you come to the UK, best believe we'll be there to watch as well. Because if your last match is, if your next match is anything like the last one that we saw of you in the UK against Ilya, that's going to be a hell of a ride for the fans as well. So we're excited for the next chapter of your career too.
Cool. Yeah, when the other guy is Ilya, you will see the same. No, but it's also the whole match wasn't not just me. It's Ilya as well. Ilya is great, and you always need to fed up on the talent from the other guy, but also you, in my opinion, need to be able to wrestle with a broomstick.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Well, absolutely.
On that case,
so that's a challenge to every broomstick out there.
Well, before we start to wrap up, mate, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you. Great to hear about your career so far, and also, like I said, the next chapter of your career is only just starting as well. So let everybody know, like, obviously, I know your contract, you said, expires on June 15th. We can expect to hear about future bookings from that point on, I'm guessing. But until then, tell everyone where they can find you and they can follow you the next part of your career.
Yeah, so you can follow me on Twitter. The handle is xman3016. On WWE, on Instagram, unfortunately, my Twitter, my Instagram handle is still the WWE Wolf. I'm not an expert on big tag, so I do not know how to change it because I have to contact somebody. I don't know. I just leave it like it is right now because I'm not bothered. But if you're interested in booking me, just shoot me a DM. I will update it with an email address because it's probably a little bit more professional than just having it over Twitter and Instagram. That's the only social media accounts I have because, again, I'm not bothered about more social media because I hate social media, but I have to use it. Also, what one of my passions are is like training people. So I also will do. So I had the plan for Germany. I want to bring back a little bit more the glory of the German wrestling scene. And a lot of times when like all like the guys who are now hired by the bigger leagues, that was like, it's kind of like a lot of guys I believe could do more with their career than they do right now, and they're living too comfortable and just having an easy competition. So I want to kind of like push that market a little bit more. And a lot of promotions from Germany, they send me a message about they want to book me. But I have to figure out, like, I will not wrestle everywhere because also I have to protect the brand. But I'm willing to work with people together. So like with seminars, for example, if they have homegrown talents and they need like some new knowledge or they need to hear it from somebody else, I want to kind of like make a concept about doing seminars for younger people. Younger people means like for people that just started in the business, for people who want to kind of like, learn something. That's the important part. Just to get like something, my mindset, explain it to them. And especially for the guys who maybe wants to go to NXT or to WWE or to other promotions, how kind of share my experience with them, but also share my knowledge when it comes to in-ring work. So I want to do a lot of seminars with that. And if you want to book me for bookings for shows, that's cool. You also can book me for seminars, and I will get in contact with you and we can see where we kind of like make an agreement. So that's basically what it is. It will probably soon, some merch will come out, probably this week, maybe Tuesday or Wednesday. So I will block all that stuff on my social media accounts. But yeah.
Awesome.
Thanks for listening.
Absolutely, dude. Right. And it's been an absolute pleasure speaking of you, like I said. But all the best until then. And like I said, actually send us a link to the merchandise when it goes up. We'll make sure to retweet it too.
Yeah.
Until then, Axel Tischer, formerly known as Alexander Wolf, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, man.
Thank you.